And Shelley's going to talk to us about her new group called Lemonade Ladies. Shelley?
The door opened. I walked through. Boom! It shut. Click was the sound as it locked. I was scared. I felt like a frightened animal trapped. I had just walked through the doors of the geriatric psych ward of the Elk City Hospital. Ambucks, thank you for having me here today. As Nancy said, I'm going to visit with you about what Lemonade Ladies is. It is a support group for women over 40 with emotional needs. But before I tell you about that, I need to tell you my journey and why Lemonade Ladies came about. January 2014, I made the resolution this was going to be the best year of my life. January was great. I had a wonderful time. February rolled around. I was on top of the world. Life could not be better. Then on February 18th at 4 p.m., I received an email. The email contained some cruel and vicious lies about me. The email said some things that hurt me like I had never been hurt before. In your lifetime, you'll run across some people, children, grandchildren, friends, fellow ambucks, that you know without hesitation you would step in front of them if a bullet was coming. The person I received that email from was one of those people in my life. But they shut off communication. I called, I emailed, I called, I emailed. All that evening, they would not answer. And then my mind started running through, what caused this? Nothing made sense. What happened? The pain just got worse, and it was like a dark, dark cloud came over me. I really didn't feel like myself, and I opened a drawer where I knew there was a gun, and I put my hand on it, and I thought, I just can't handle this. I wanted that pain to stop so badly. So I called my daughter. I wanted to talk to her before I shot myself. And she said, Mom, please come home. Dad and I are waiting for you. I'll stay here. It'll be okay. Just please come home. Don't do anything. So I drove home. My psychiatrist told me it was a good thing it was my daughter I called, because I had gone into shock. And she said, no matter what somebody told you at that point, you would have done it. If you had called somebody that said, well, go ahead and shoot yourself, she said you would have. The next few days, somehow I managed. I got dressed, I went to work, but I knew in my mind things just weren't clicking right. I would cry a lot at work, but kept getting through. And one night at not at Ambucks, but at Toastmasters, I was sitting there sort of listening to what was going on, but sort of not, because my mind was going, Shelley, you're sick. Shelley, you're sick. Shelley, you're sick. Shelley, you're sick. Go to St. Mary's Hospital after this meeting. I was prepared to do that. But then my group talked about going to Panavinos and having some wine. I thought, well, I think I'll do that instead. And the wine did help temporarily. This was on a Thursday. On Monday, I sent my doctor an email. Made perfect sense to me. And he called me, and I thought, oh, good. He's going to do exactly what I asked him to do. I went into his office, and he said to me, Shelley, do you think that email you sent me was rational? And I said, yes. He said, it wasn't. He said, are you thinking about suicide? And I said, yes. And he said, do you have a plan? And I said, yes. And he said, you know what day it is? And I said, February 18th. It was March then. My mind had got stuck, literally stuck on that day. And he said, would you please go to a mental hospital tonight? I'm afraid for you not to. Hard decision, but I knew it was the right one. Something in me was still clicking. So that night I went to the Elk City Hospital. You know where they put women that are middle-aged? They put them in the geriatric psych ward. There's institutions, help if you're young or if you're old, but in between, there is really nothing. So when I walked in that hospital and I looked around, everybody was 85, 90, had Alzheimer's, they were coloring, they were throwing a ball. I thought, oh man, I've gone through flew over the cuckoo's nest. They took my suitcase. I then walked into my room and they brought it back to me and I was unpacking it. The belt to my robe was gone. My blow dryer was gone. All my bras were gone. And I asked the nurse, I said, what's going on? And she said, we have to take away anything that you could possibly kill yourself with. She said, you're on high suicide watch and you're going to be checked on every 15 minutes. And we went to the bathroom and she said, when you go to the bathroom, you have to keep the door open. There's a camera in here and somebody will be coming in. And then she unscrewed the tube to the shower that holds it because she said you could also use that. All I kept thinking was, can you really kill yourself with a 38C black lace bra?
Straps.
When I was there to get some medication to try to alleviate this blackness, I had always thought you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can put your big girl panties on. That's how I'd always lived my life. I was 59 years old. That's the way it was supposed to be. But I never knew sometimes you couldn't. The blackness would get so dark and the heart would hurt so much and the stomach would hurt. I couldn't even really brush my teeth, much less pull myself up by my bootstraps. They tried a medication on me that night, and I was laying in bed, and all of a sudden, I started to jerk. I waited a little bit longer, a little more jerking. So I went up to the desk and I said, I believe there's a side effect that's happening to me from this medication. The nurse said, that's not a side effect of this medication. Go back to bed, you're just cold, we'll bring you more blankets. I went back to bed and they put a heated blanket on me, and a few minutes later it got worse. And I was jerking like this, and I thought in my head, it was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to leave this place not thinking and walking out of here like this. I could not stop the jerks. So I walked to the front of the desk to the nurses, and I said, would you please call the doctor? Something's terribly wrong. And they said, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We don't want to bother the doctor. And I said, I figured I was already certifiably crazy, so I said, yes, you will call the doctor, or I will get behind that desk and I will call the doctor. They did call the doctor. The doctor said, stop the medication. But it took 3 hours. I put my chair right in front of that nurse's desk for this to go away. And if you've jerked for 3 hours, it is the most crazy thing that happens. And I remember screaming so loud, this one thing, I figured even the Alzheimer's patients that were deaf could have heard it. But I remember laying there and saying, sweet Jesus, if you give a damn about me, take me now. It didn't happen. I ended up staying there 5 days and 4 nights. They wanted me to stay longer, but I thought I knew best. That night when I got home, I went to my bathroom getting ready for bed and thought about taking that bottle of sleeping pills that was there. Figured I would follow it by a bottle of NyQuil because I didn't want to just be a vegetable. I really wanted to get it done. The pain still had not left. I thought that hospital was supposed to make it go. I still couldn't eat. I still couldn't sleep. And then I heard a voice saying, call Katie. Call Katie. I kind of looked around and thought, I am crazy. I am hearing voices. But that voice got louder. Call Katie. Call Katie. Katie was a young woman I had only met about 2 weeks earlier for just a few hours, but she seemed special and I liked her and we'd exchanged phone numbers. This voice would not let me take the pills. This voice made me call Katie. We talked and texted all night long, and in the morning I was still there. Started going to the psychiatrist once a month, and every week in Oklahoma City I went to my psychologist, which I am still going to, the psychiatrist, just once every 3 months. But I knew I needed something more. That wasn't enough. That one time a week, and what I was going through, you couldn't really talk to your coworkers about. You really didn't want to talk to your family about. You kind of wanted to just talk to strangers about it. So I asked her, I said, is there a support group in Enid for women that are middle-aged with some emotional and mental health needs? She said, no, there isn't. I said, well, how about Oklahoma City? I'll drive up here. She said, there's nothing like that here. So I started to think about how much I needed it. But writing is my release, and I'm a writer for Examiner.com. I wrote an article then about being in the mental hospital. Within 2 days, I had over 800 emails from across the nation from people saying, thank you for being open about that. I too broke. I too snapped once, but I've been too embarrassed to let people know. I heard stories, mostly from women in our age group. I started thinking, wow, I'm not alone. There's something here. And Lemonade Ladies started without even me really starting it. I'm not a very religious person, but I am much more religious now because God was taking over what was happening at that point. I met another lady off the internet that lives here in Enid. She's a therapist. And she called me and said, let's go for lunch. I'm reading your stuff. I have some things I would like to talk to you about too, but there's no one to talk about too. So we had lunch, and then a minister, a lady minister, came along and said, I'd like to talk to people too about that kind of thing. And so the three of us got together one night on the porch of a friend of ours, made 4 of us, and we just talked about our emotional needs, how we were feeling, and it was relieving. And we decided right then, we need to do something like this on a regular basis. My favorite pie is lemon pie. When I had gotten out of the hospital, my sister made me some lemon pie and had a lemon pie party for me. So I thought, well, maybe we should call ourselves the Lemon Pie Ladies. But nah, that sounded like a baking group. So right there that evening, we decided we'd be the Lemonade Ladies. Then on Facebook, I wrote, any woman over 40 who wants to talk about emotional or mental health needs, come to my house at 6:30 on Wednesday night. I really didn't think anyone would come because that would probably scare most people to see something like that just out on Facebook. I was shocked that night. 12 women, most of them I did not know, came to my house. I hadn't even prepared anything because I really did not think anyone would come. But again, as I said, a higher spirit took over that night. Every woman there told why she had come to this meeting, what it was that was bothering her, what she was struggling with. Every need was pretty much different. And we talked, and the lady said, that felt so good, so healing. Can we do this again? So we decided to try it the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. I put another Facebook message on for the next one, but I was going to be a little bit more prepared, so I decided we would have something to do. I'm glad I did. 15 women showed up. And we talked about our goals, what we wanted our life to look like, what we needed to do to go forward from this point. We decided to have another meeting. I put a little nicer Facebook ad on about it, and I had a little bit of an agenda. And a lady that was an expert in quantum physics from Houston, Texas, volunteered to come speak to us. We had more women, and again, after the lady spoke, it brought about ideas and brought about subjects and much sharing. I realized there was really a need here. I better get serious about this because it was growing. So we came up with a plan on how to run the meetings. Now in Enid, there's 30 to 40 women coming every time I have a meeting. I have started a group in Noble, Oklahoma. I have had, probably 50 requests around the state of Oklahoma in different towns. Is there lemonade ladies here? What can we do? How can I have one? And then I received requests from California, Florida, New York. I don't know how all these people found out about it. They said, is there a group like that here? So I told them all, please be patient. We'll get there. Our agenda that we have, that we found that works with each meeting, we have 3 key people. We have the chaplain there in case somebody gets so grieved that they need to have somebody with that knowledge. We always have the therapist there who can handle issues and is good with them. We have the marketer there, which is myself, to bring the people in. The meeting starts with a message by the chaplain, very short. Then the therapist, the facilitator as we call her, talks about the 3 most important things about being a lemonade lady. Number 1 is confidentiality. If you cannot be confidential about who you see in that room, about what you hear, you will not be invited back. That is, confidentiality creates trust. And with almost 40 women, that has never yet been broken. And the trust in that room, in this group, and what is happening now in Noble is amazing. I've had women say to me, I never trusted before. I never had friends. This is my lifeline. Thank you. Well, then we have minutes by M. And M is an energy healer, has studied the tapping, the deep breathing, the positive reinforcements, and she gives us a short little lesson on that. Then we have a presenter. I have people that have signed up. I do not have an opening until the end of May now. I have people coming from Oklahoma City, from Henrietta. We had a poet, a gentleman, come from Oklahoma City to open up the creativity. The women wrote poems, amazing poems, ones that made you cry. And so many of them said, oh, I shut that side of me off. This is wonderful. I have a doctor coming in February from Henrietta. He's got the subject on why men can be jerks. I have a lady.
That's going to be a long meeting.
I have a lady from Oklahoma City coming who, due to medication, being older, her hair has gotten so thin she's lost most of it, and the emotions she's gone through dealing with that. These people are just coming. I am not having to work hard at this. Lemonade Ladies is a miracle in each meeting that we have. Some people say to me, I keep thinking the meetings can't get better, but they do. So where are we going now? From that little group of 12 that came over that I really didn't think was going to amount to anything, we are now a business, an LLC. We have a board of directors. Our web page is almost finished. We are expanding out with the outreach. Senator Connie Johnson, who is running for U.S. Senate, got hold of what we were doing too. I got an email from her and she said, would you come to Oklahoma City and talk to me about what these mental health and emotional issue needs are for women over 40. I'm a big person that really wants to help with the health of women in Oklahoma. She spent 2.5 hours with me, and she has become a big supporter of Lemonade Ladies. She has also told me, instead of going to all these little towns individually, like you're planning, that's going to be impossible. She said she will help us have a state convention in which we can train the different groups how to have a Lemonade Ladies. And through trial and error, we have learned that it does take some training, and now I'm very protective of it because the women that come can be very fragile. And having the right people in place is very important. And again, as I said, it's a higher spirit, a higher power, put the right people in place. When I went to Noble 2 weeks ago to start that club, sitting in that room was a female chaplain and a therapist and a marketer. What I call the 3 keys to make it work. September 10th, next week, Senator Johnson is coming to my house at 6:30 to talk about issues facing women in the 21st century. The meeting will be a little different because of the senator being there, but if any of you are interested in hearing what she has to say, just call, and my phone number's on here, which I'll let you know, and let me know. Yes, I'm still having these meetings in my front room, and people are saying, shouldn't we get to a bigger building somewhere? And I'm saying, no, we're crowded, we're squished, but we don't have to feel like we're with a church. We don't have to feel like we're with some facility. If somebody needs to stay there till 11 talking to the chaplain or the therapist, there's nobody to kick you out. If somebody starts to cry, or you can tell that they just need a touch because we're so close, all you have to do is reach out because they're right next to you. Where do I want it to go? What do I want you to do? I do want this to be nationwide. It is. It's getting there faster than I can keep up with. But I ask you to support us. Go to our Facebook page and like us. If you know somebody needing to come, tell them about it. They don't have to come to every meeting. They can come once in a while. They can come to all the meetings, whatever their need is. And the reason we talked about confidentiality, the next one is being non-judgmental. In that room, we deal with rape. We deal with social anxiety. We deal with abuse. We do deal with low self-esteem. We deal with women whose adult children are causing them much heartache. We deal with gambling, sex, shopping addictions. There is everything, and that is why you cannot be judgmental. And respect for the other people in the room is the third thing that is important to us. When someone is speaking, you know how usually your mind thinks and you want to jump in because you have something really cool to say? Well, you can say it, but just not while that person is talking. And that formula has worked very well. Again, support us when you hear about us. Talk us up across the nation. September 17th, we're going to have our first live chat around the nation, and the subject is going to be depression, and the moderator is somebody that is versed in depressive issues. And you knew it was going to happen before I ended this speech. The cliche, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Does anybody have any questions for Shelley?
Have you been able to confront the person who sent that email to you?
Have I been able to, no. Communication just ended.
So you
That was why my mind looped. I did not understand that. And the psychiatrist told me for people of normal to higher education, when pieces of a puzzle don't fit together, the mind will loop because we have to make sense of things. We just can't let it go until we learn to let it go if it doesn't make sense. Anything else?
Was depression your first symptom? Were you just extremely depressed? Or you said the dark cloud came over you? So.
They say depression hurts. My heart hurt, my stomach hurt. I felt in pain. I couldn't think. I didn't think I'd ever see the light again. And that's why I thought, well, I kept thinking, well, in 2 days, I'll be able to pull myself out of this. I'll be glad when I'm off medication again, but right now I won't get off of it because I will still fall into some moments of that depression again.
So many of us were taught that you do pull yourself up
Uh-huh.
by the bootstraps. You do,
Yeah.
Put your big girl panties on
yeah,
and
put your
deal
big girl
with it.
panties on, you suck it up, you know. And sometimes that can be harmful.
And sometimes you just can't do it.
Yeah, because I say that, and Buddy always goes, I don't know why you have that outlook on things. That you can work, I always say, I can work through this.
Right.
A lot of the time, it's when I'm really, really tired
Mm-hmm.
because of the fibromyalgia. And he says, I don't know why you just won't give into it and let yourself sleep. But, you know, I always say, I can work myself through this.
If I had not
Yes, Sam.
gotten help, mental help, and mental issues are a disease just like appendicitis,
Right.
I would not be here today. I know I would be dead because I just wanted that pain to stop. And suicide seemed like the only way it would stop because I could not get rid of it.
Is your Facebook under Lemonade Ladies?
Yes, our Lemonade Ladies page is under that under Facebook.
Okay.
Thank you. And there's lots of positive affirmations on it and information about our next meeting and
Well, you guys have
Okay.
done a great job.
well, thank you.
You've done a lot more than I thought you did.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
This is a token of our appreciation
Oh, well,
for you
thank
coming.
you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, I love
being
these. I will now get rid of my Great Plains Elk City Mental Hospital one.
Thank you so much.
Were you pleased with Elk City's mental?
No, because I did not, I mean, the people there were trying their best, but they did not know what to do with someone my age.
Well, that's where they diagnosed my parents as having Alzheimer's. And I always felt like we shouldn't have listened to them. We should have taken them to somebody else for a second opinion. And because my sister says I couldn't answer most of those questions that they asked Mom and Dad.
Oh, and yes, they are her questions. I couldn't answer some of them too.
And
Why did you go to Elk City? Was that the closest?
My doctor is Dr. Ali, and he said, everybody in Enid knows you. And
Oh, well,
some
that's-
of the nurses could talk from generations, and he goes, you aren't strong enough now to handle anything like that.
It doesn't St. Anthony's in Oklahoma City have a good one?
Well, he said he sent me there because there was a psychiatrist there that was his friend, and he said I needed somebody gentle, and there's all sorts of psychiatry, and he said you won't deal well with somebody that's just tough right now. And he said he thought that would be a good match, and that part was.
Good. Awesome. It's amazing that kind of subject nobody really touches on.
It's such a
So-
shame that they don't want to send you to Enid because you know people. Let's keep it in the closet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you've got a broken leg, they don't mind sending
Yeah,
you to
that's-
Enid.
Right.
You know?
That's the stigma that we still
Yes.
have with mental
And we
disease.
continue to
And
support it.
mental illness,
It's
as you
real.
said, is just like appendicitis or diabetes. It is just, it's an issue, it's a disease, it has to be dealt with, and it has to be treated like that for the person to be able to over, we have so much of it, you wouldn't believe how much of it there really is.
I'm just amazed that there's no support group.
Yeah, I'm
You
beginning
know,
I
it's
know
like-
there's support
that
groups
is
for
so
everything
crazy.
There's
else.
no help. If you, up to 18 years old, you have help.
Mm-hmm.
From there on till, like she said,
Till
way
Medicare
old.
kicks in.
We really passed that, Nancy, because it's more older people, I mean, elderly, very elderly, like 85,
Yeah.
85-ish.